Introduction to the telephone in the 19th century. Communication was slow, limited, and often unreliable. Messages traveled at the speed of horses, ships, or trains. Letters could take weeks or even months to arrive. For businesses, governments, and families, this delay shaped how people lived and worked. Urgent news often arrived too late to change outcomes. By the mid-1800s, the telegraph had already begun to revolutionize communication by allowing messages to be sent instantly over long distances using electrical signals. However, the telegraph had major limitations. Messages had to be coded into Morse code, transmitted by trained operators, and decoded again at the destination. Ordinary people could not use it directly, and conversations were impossible. This created a growing demand for a system that could transmit the human voice itself, not just coded signals. Scientists and inventors across Europe and North America began experimenting with sound, electricity, and vibration. The question was simple but profound. Could speech be turned into an electrical signal and reconstructed at a distance? One of the people drawn deeply into this problem was Alexander Graham Bell. Born in Scotland in 1847, Bell grew up in a family devoted to the study of sound and speech. His father was an expert in speech training, and his mother was deaf, which gave Bell a lifelong interest in how sound works and how people communicate. When Bell later moved to North America, he worked as a teacher for the deaf, but his passion extended beyond education. He believed that electricity could be used to carry the full complexity of the human voice. This belief would lead to one of the most important inventions in human history: the telephone. The telephone would not only change communication, it would reshape business, society, and human relationships forever. The early experiments. Alexander Graham Bell's early experiments focused on understanding how sound vibrations could be converted into electrical signals. Sound, after all, is simply vibration traveling through air. Bell believed that if those vibrations could be mirrored in an electrical current, they could be sent across a wire and recreated as sound at the other end. Bell initially worked on a concept known as the harmonic telegraph. His idea was to send multiple messages simultaneously over a single wire by using different sound frequencies. While this work was intended to improve telegraphy, it accidentally pushed him closer to transmitting speech. Bell was not working alone. One of his most important collaborators was Thomas Watson, a skilled electrical mechanic. Watson helped Bell build and refine experimental devices, turning theoretical ideas into physical instruments. Together, they experimented with diaphragms, magnets, coils, and batteries. The diaphragm, a thin, flexible membrane, would vibrate when exposed to sound. These vibrations could alter an electrical current flowing through a wire. On the receiving end, a similar diaphragm could convert the electrical changes back into sound. Progress was slow and filled with failure. Many early attempts produced only faint noises, distorted sounds, or meaningless vibrations. But each failure provided valuable information. Bell carefully documented what worked and what didn't, constantly adjusting designs. A major breakthrough came when Bell realized that continuous electrical currents, rather than simple on-off pulses, were essential for reproducing speech. This insight separated Bell's approach from many other inventors and brought him closer to success. By 1875, Bell and Watson were on the edge of something revolutionary, even if they didn't fully realize it yet. The first successful call on March 10, 1876, history changed forever. While working in their laboratory, Bell accidentally spilled acid on himself during an experiment. Instinctively, he called out to his assistant through the experimental device, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you." To Bell's astonishment, Watson heard the words clearly through the wire in the next room. For the first time, a complete, intelligible human sentence had been transmitted electrically. This moment marked the birth of the telephone. The significance of this event cannot be overstated. Unlike the telegraph, which transmitted coded signals, the telephone carried tone, emotion, and natural speech. It allowed real-time conversation between people separated by distance, something humanity had never experienced before. Bell immediately understood the importance of what had happened. This was no longer just a scientific curiosity, it was a practical communication system with enormous potential. Soon after, Bell demonstrated the telephone publicly, including at the Centennial International Exhibition in Philadelphia in 1876. Audiences were amazed. Many initially doubted what they were hearing, believing it to be a trick or illusion. But the reality was undeniable. The telephone worked. This single moment, one sentence spoken in a laboratory, laid the foundation for global voice communication, leading eventually to mobile phones, video calls, and instant worldwide connection. The telephone patent and legal battles. The invention of the telephone immediately sparked controversy. On the same day Bell filed his telephone patent in 1876, another inventor, Elisha Gray, filed a legal document describing a similar voice transmission concept. This coincidence ignited one of the most famous patent battles in history. Supporters of Gray argued that he had independently developed similar ideas and may even have been closer to a working device. Bell's supporters pointed out that Bell had filed a complete patent, while Gray submitted only a caveat, a notice of intent rather than a finalized claim. Over the following years, Bell and his backers faced hundreds of lawsuits challenging the legitimacy of the telephone patent. These legal battles were intense and expensive, involving major corporations and inventors. Ultimately, the courts ruled in favor of Bell. His patent was upheld, granting him legal control over telephone technology in the United States. While controversial, this decision allowed the rapid development of a unified telephone system. Without it, competing designs and legal chaos might have slowed adoption significantly. The patent battles shaped not only the telephone's future but also the modern relationship between invention, law, and innovation. The telephone's impact on society. The telephone transformed society in ways few inventions ever have. Businesses could now communicate instantly across cities and countries. Orders, negotiations, and decisions that once took weeks could happen in minutes. This accelerated commerce and helped fuel industrial growth. Socially, the telephone changed personal relationships. Families separated by distance could hear each other's voices. Emergencies could be reported immediately. Doctors, police, and fire services became more effective. By the early 20th century, telephone networks expanded rapidly across Europe and North America. Telephone operators, exchanges, and infrastructure created entirely new industries and jobs. The telephone also reshaped culture. Conversations became more spontaneous. Language evolved. Expectations around availability and response time changed forever. What began as a fragile experimental device became a global system connecting billions of people. Today's smartphones, internet calls, and video conferencing all trace their origins back to that first experiment in Bell's laboratory. The telephone did more than transmit sound. It collapsed distance, reshaped society, and changed how humans experience connection.